Hey guys, it's the Real China Sister. I'm back with another video. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel, like this video. Today's another story time. I'm going to be telling you guys about the time I got cheated on.
The beat live, you know Lil Juke made it.
In doing this video, this is just a story time. I've spoken to the guy since then and we are cool. Like, we have seen each other out like on some occasions, like, and we're cool. Like, we don't got no beef. Like, we're good. This is actually my first relationship when I was 17. I wasn't allowed to date until I was 16. I was a goody two shoes. I followed those rules. Like, I didn't text with guys. I didn't do nothing until I was 16. This was like my first boyfriend, and you know, of course, when you get your first boyfriend, you think like, oh, this is the guy I'm gonna marry, or you think all these things, you know, when you're young like that, and you think it's the real deal, but you know, obviously it was not by the title of this video. So I'm just gonna get into it. So I met him when I was 17. I was a junior, he was a senior. This was like back in the day when I had a Twitter and everything. He slid in my Twitter DMs, and you know, we started talking from there and getting to know one another. Our first date was on the football field. He happened to play football for our high school. Our first date was at the football field. We just walked around like the football field talking and getting to know one another. The funny thing about it is when I asked him, like, you know, about his ex-girlfriend and where she was, he told me he didn't want to talk about her. And, you know, in my 17-year-old head, I'm thinking, oh, he had a bad falling out with his girlfriend and ex-girlfriend, and maybe he doesn't want to talk about it or whatever. You know, I didn't see it as a red flag that he didn't want to discuss his ex-girlfriend. So I kind of left it alone, and I just, you know, we continued talking. We had a great time, and that was that. Let's speed up a little bit. We started dating, and we actually started calling each other boyfriend and girlfriend. Like, he asked me to be his girlfriend or whatever. Things were going fine. I didn't feel like anything weird was going on. Like, once again, I was 17. Like, if there were any signs to see of something additional going on in the background with him and other women or him and another woman, I didn't see it at the time. I genuinely didn't. So I'm just going around happy. This is my first boyfriend, blah, blah. I'm all like in like with him and everything. I didn't see anything. I didn't feel anything was off there with me and him. I didn't feel like he was doing anything. I didn't see anything. The only reason why I started to look and started to pay attention so closely to certain things is because a girl that I was friends with at the time, you know, she was in a class with me. And when I was with her in class and I told her, oh, you know, this is my new boyfriend, blah, blah, and I said his name, she looked at me sideways, and I'm looking at her like, what? And she's like, well, just watch out for his ex-girlfriend because she's very ignorant. Like, those were her words, period. And when she said the girl's name, I had heard of this girl before, but I'm like, I didn't think that was his ex-girlfriend. I knew who my girlfriend was talking about or whatever. You know, I just kept that in the back of my head. You know, I had seen him. You know, me and him went to the same school. Like, we used to walk the halls together. Like, he used to walk me to class. Like, all that high school boyfriend and girlfriend stuff. So that night when I got home, you know, I'm on Twitter and I'm just scrolling, and then I see the ex-girlfriend actually follows me on Twitter. And then when I look and I compare names, I'm like, this is the girl that's always tweeting angry shit. But, you know, she was always tweeting angry shit, but I didn't know her. I didn't know who she was talking about. But when I went through and I went and I looked. When I went and I read her tweets, and I'm like, is she talking about the guy that I'm dating? I just started seeing mad shit talking on her end, like, about a guy. I started seeing just all this subliminal stuff. And then when I went back and read his tweets, I'm like, hold up. It's like they're subbing each other, and it's like, what the hell did I get myself into? So of course I said something to him about it. I asked him about it. It was either on FaceTime or, you know, we used to spend weekends together and stuff, like at his house. Like, we used to kick it like on Saturdays and stuff and just hang out. When I asked him about her, his words to me was that she was a psychopath, that she tries to ruin his life, and she's delusional and all this other stuff. And once again, do not judge me. I was 17, so I believed him. And, I said, okay, well, this is just a crazy ex-girlfriend. So I continued being his girlfriend. I just had it in my head from that point on, like, that's just his psycho girlfriend, his psycho ex-girlfriend or whatever. So at the time, I was in the play Cats at school. Mind you, I won a Rising Star Award from the Paper Mill Playhouse for it. Best Supporting Actress as Demeter. But we're not talking about that right now. I just wanted to let y'all know. But I was in Cats at the time. And one of the guys that I had grown close with, like as a friend, he pulled me to the side. And looking back and thinking about it, like, I was so, like, I had no idea what was going on. He pulls me to the side and he's basically asking me, like, do you still go with so-and-so? Like, is that still your boyfriend? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, he's not, like, being faithful to you. Like, he still messes with other girls. And I'm like, who is he messing with? And then he tells me about 2 other girls that he's friends with. 2 other girls that my cast member is friends with, and they both, like, he walks around with them, like, in school, like, in the same school I'm at with him. He starts telling me that my boyfriend at the time walks these girls to class. He's their man. And I'm like, but he walks me to, like, he kisses me in the hallway. I remember saying that, like, I was so young, but I was like, he kisses me in the hallway. Like, we're like boyfriend and girlfriend. He's like, he kisses them too. And thinking back, and literally, I can see the look on my face at that time. Like, I was so young, and I did not deserve all of that. Like, that was too much for my age. Like, I had no idea what was going on. I was very oblivious. Like, I was just believing anything that my boyfriend said, because, you want to believe the person you're with, and at the time, I really wanted to believe everything that he was saying, because he was nice. He was good to me. It's not like he was disrespectful or anything like that. He was always a gentleman. He was always great, but that was just a part of his game. So I remember saying something to him about the 2 girls, and I think he tried to say that those were just friends of his or whatever, but, I mean, my friend told me, like, you kissed them and everything, and he really didn't have anything to back up with that. So I think that was like the first time I broke up with him, just because of that. I think he apologized and somehow weaseled his way, like, back into my good graces, and I forgave him, and we started dating again. So here comes prom is coming. Of course, he's a senior, I'm a junior. So of course, I'm expecting my senior boyfriend to ask me to his prom. I brought up prom one day because I think maybe, like, I started seeing people asking people to prom, and I'm like, okay, why is this kid not asking me or telling me about prom yet? He tells me something about some girl that he's been friends with forever, and he's supposed to take her to prom. And I think I told him that, I would basically, like, break up with him because, like, what the hell am I here for? Like, I've never even seen him around this girl. I've never seen them even say hello to each other in the hallway. It's like, I'm not about to play with you. Like, if that's what you're doing, then you need to leave me alone. So long story short, he asked me to go to prom with him, and I was content with that. Mind you, I haven't even explained to y'all about the best friend he had, some girl that was always hanging around, and I had to check her one time. Like, and me, like, when I think about me at the time, not that I'm not a nice person now, but I was extra nice back then, and I really tried to not make waves. I did not like to make waves, and I did not like to argue. But sometimes people are just too invasive and too disrespectful, and you have to say something to them. I remember I got into a little bit of a texting thing with this girl, and I kind of told her basically, like, you do too much, and the constantly being around him, like, I'm not taking that too well, and I'm really not feeling that. And she wasn't feeling it that I texted her and I said all that. She started with the tweeting and the subbing. Do all that all you want, but I'm not taking any kind of disrespect in any relationship that I am in. Like, nobody's gonna disrespect me to my face. Like, that's just not happening. That was that. And honestly, to be honest, I wasn't even really feeling his friends either. Like, his friends got on my nerves, like they did. Like, all the pretending and acting to be something they're not. And I couldn't take it. It was too much. I sat there and I dealt with it because I really liked him and I really wanted it to work with him at the time. So, let's get into prom. So prom is coming. There's a big issue with his limo or something like that. He wanted me to ride in the limo, the same limo where his ex-girlfriend was going to be at. Is that messy or not? There was some kind of issue with a limo or something like that. I really don't remember the specifics of it, but I do remember my parents saying, since I'm going to prom, they will get a limo for me and him to be able to ride in it by ourselves. So my parents paid for a limo for us to go to his prom, you know, since he kind of couldn't do it or whatever the case was. I really don't remember. But I know that my parents wanted me to be comfortable. So prom was coming. I remember, I will say this about one day I was in the mall with my mom. This was a little bit before prom. We were shopping, like that was the thing we always did. We were always shopping in the mall. While we were leaving the mall, my mom pulls me to the side. Like, and my mom like never does that. Like she never has to really tell me anything. And she begged me not to go to prom with him. She basically said like, you know, like I know you like him a lot, but I just don't see anything good coming from this. There's too much going on. It's too messy. I feel like there are a lot of things he's not telling you. Don't go to prom with him. Like, and my mom never tells me not to go somewhere. Like, she's not like that. Like, she would never tell me, oh, don't go to prom. Like, she would love to see me in a gorgeous dress going to prom. But, you know, I knew she was right. But at the same time, I was so hung up on what people thought. I felt like people felt like there were issues between me and him, and I felt like us going to prom together would erase any issues that people might have had in their head about us. At the time, I was so self-conscious and so nervous about what people were thinking at the time. So, you know, I went to prom with him. I looked gorgeous. My dress was gorgeous. I looked gorgeous. I had an okay time at prom with him. So after prom, I don't know, a lot of you guys don't know, but I don't know if other states do it, but in New Jersey, most New Jersey schools, to my knowledge, you know, there's a thing called prom weekend where the seniors go down to Wildwood, New Jersey, you know, and stay in beach houses, hotels, motels, whatever, for like a week or a few days. And, you know, you miss school that week, but it's like a thing. It's like a celebration thing that the seniors do. So he asked me to go to prom weekend with him. And, you know, there was this whole thing about the hotel and issues with money. And like, this is why like I don't like to do anything that involves me with money, with people, because it's just always so damn messy. But whatever, I went to prom weekend with him. You know, and I know we can't change the things that we do in life, and you know, everything's an experience. But thinking back on that, just in how I am now, like I don't go for no bullshit now. But I was really going for the bullshit with him. Like, I should have left. I should have, once I saw his ex hanging around where we was at, I should have took my ass home and I should have just never spoke to him again. I feel like I was young and I was confused and I just really I didn't understand like what to do. And it's not because something was, like, I don't know. You know, I liked him a lot and I don't know. It was my first boyfriend. Maybe that had a lot to do with it. I'm really not sure. But so we're there and, you know, his ex-girlfriend is around the hotel room where we staying at. Like, shorty keep being around and nobody is addressing it. Mind you, these is his friends. These aren't my friends. These are his friends that we're staying in the room with. So instead of making waves and arguing with him about why is his ex-girlfriend there, I decided to just keep things cool and not make any waves and argue and just enjoy the time I was there with him. So whatever, you know, I bit the bullet and I didn't really say anything about his ex-girlfriend being around. So this is like the finale. So one of those days while we were at Wildwood, this might have been the second or third day in Wildwood, I really don't remember. Me and him are sitting on the couch, like watching TV. Well, I was watching TV. He was sitting next to me. He was texting in his phone, but I wasn't paying attention to what he was doing. I wasn't looking or anything like that. His friend, one of his guy friends in the hotel room, he runs by and he hits my boyfriend at the time in the head. And like playing, like you know how guys play and they hit each other or whatever. He hit him in the head and then my boyfriend at the time runs after him, like to chase him because they're playing. But his phone fell out of his pocket. And I swear, I don't know what made me do it, but I picked up his phone so fast. Like, I picked up his phone with a quickness. I put his password in, and I swear to y'all, it went, you know how the last thing you were on, like that's what opens up on a phone or whatever? The last thing he was in was texting his ex, telling her about how he wants to engage in sex with her. You know, I had friends at school, I had girlfriends at school telling me not to date him no more. You know, my parents was telling me to stop it with him. Like, all the signs were there that said, like, he wasn't shit. But for me to actually see it in front of me, like concrete, this is what he's sitting here next to me texting the next female. I think I kind of a little bit went into like panic attack a little bit. Like I didn't know, I was young, my emotions were young, like I didn't know how to handle that. So I had his phone in my hand. I went out to the balcony because where we were staying, there was a balcony. I like went outside to catch my breath because I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like I couldn't breathe in the room. Then he comes out the room going like this, like, where's my phone? Like tapping himself. I'm like, here's your phone. I'm like, so you texting your ex? And of course, that was a huge blowout argument between me and him. You know, this isn't just hearsay now. This isn't you saying, oh, my ex is crazy. And this is concrete in front of me. It's right in front of me, and I see what's really good with you and what you're really doing. And you sit next to me doing this shit, which is like completely disrespectful and like disgusting. So, you know, we had that big argument. The rest of that day was like a complete blur for me. I think my mom had been calling me that night because that happened like in either the afternoon or the early afternoon, something like that. My mom had been calling me that night, and I wasn't answering the phone for her because I didn't want to have to tell her about what happened or what I saw or that she was right about him. So I wasn't picking up the phone for her. The next morning, you know, I woke up really early that morning. I think it's because, you know, I could barely sleep. Like I had a lot on my mind. So that morning, you know, I went out to the balcony. Everybody was still asleep. I went out to the balcony. I called my mom, and, you know, she basically like was upset with me for not picking up the phone because she's like, I don't know if something could have happened to you, blah, blah. And I caught a really nasty attitude with my mom because I was mad at my own situation. And we got off the phone like angry, and I knew at the time that I was being mean to her for no reason. So I called her back, and I was crying, and I told her what happened, and I told her what I saw. And, you know, she sent a family friend to come up there to Wildwood to get me because Wildwood was like 3 hours away from where we lived in our town. So she sent somebody to come and get me because it's like, what the hell am I here for? You know, like the writing's basically on the wall. You know, I left Wildwood, you know, with a broken heart and stuff like that. You know, he kind of didn't care that I left. He stayed there and he fucked with his ex the whole time. You know, well, there's not much to say about that. When everybody returned to school, like the seniors and stuff, first of all, I was embarrassed. Like, I was so embarrassed because I felt like everybody was talking about me. I felt like everybody knew what this guy was doing except for me. You know, his family members were kind of around me. His friends were around me. And, you know, those are his friends. They're not going to come and tell me something. But what bothered me more than anything is that his family members and his friends is the ones that keep talking shit to me about this girl. But he's still chilling with this girl, and he's still hanging out with this girl. When we got back to school, you know, he was trying to get back with me, and he was trying to be on some like, oh, I love you and blah, 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 and whatever the case may be. And I just wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling the whole thing. You know, I started to get into things with his family members and his people via Twitter because someone was just, all of his people, like they were always talking, or they were always running their mouth, like from the men and the women, like just all the time talking. You know, people are gonna talk shit, like whatever. My only issue was when the ex-girlfriend started talking shit because I don't even know you. I don't care for you. I've never sat there and gone on Twitter and talked about you. Like you're a non-factor in my life. But now you're sitting in your room. This was at night. I think maybe this might have been a weekday at school or something like that. I don't know. You're in your house just sitting there being Miss Twitter fingers and talking shit. So I kind of took offense to that. Sitting there running their mouth, talking. It's like, and I didn't care for this girl. First of all, and she had my Twitter. If she really wanted to say something to me, she could have at me, or she could have wrote me in DM and got whatever she needed to get off her chest, because I never really directly said anything to her. The only time I really said anything is when I found out that was his ex-girlfriend, and I'm just like, what the, like, I didn't understand. It just didn't, I'm not gonna shame anybody for how they, but I just couldn't, it took me by surprise that was his ex-girlfriend, and he walks around thinking he's the shit. You would think it would be something else, you know, and I'm already embarrassed and I'm already feeling some type of way. You know, his birthday came, and I remember sitting in class and seeing some picture that the ex-girlfriend put up of, like, this was like towards the end of the school year, so you know it's like June. His birthday came, and you know we were broken up, but I was still sad about what happened, and I was still heartbroken. I saw some picture the ex-girlfriend put up, like they in her house together, like celebrating his birthday, and I'm like, damn, like, what the fuck you got with me for in the first place for? Like, what was all that for? It's literally like somebody coming from out of nowhere and just fucking your life up, or trying to fuck your life up. And like, you know, I was 17 at the time also, so a lot of the red flags that were screaming at me when we were just in the talking stage, now I would have never dealt with him. Me and him would have never made it past the talking stage, because I would have been seeing shit for what it was. Yeah, that's basically my story time on the time I got cheated on or whatever. To my knowledge, that's the only time I got cheated on. I mean, you never really know what these men are doing, but that's like my first outright, this dude cheated on me, it's in my face and I see it. So, I mean, all's well ends well, you know. I still prevailed. I still had an awesome senior year. You know, I went to an amazing school, Penn State. We are. You know, I have a great job. I'm living my life. You know, I thought that shit was just like God, I didn't even want to go to school. Like, I didn't even want to go to school when this shit happened. Like, I wanted to stay at home in the bed. Even when school was over, I stayed in my room until I started going out and stuff. And, you know, my mom kept telling me to go out. I didn't want to leave my room. Like, I was so depressed, like crazy depressed. But, you know, life happens, shit happens, whatever, you know, and karma's something else. Because I promise you, anybody that fucked with me in that whole timeline, God ate them up like he did. But yeah, that's it for this story time. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. I will be coming with more story times and more videos on whatever I decide to talk about in the moment. See you guys soon.